Hari, Jaya Radha Madhava, Jaya Kunda Vidhari,
Jaya Radha Madhava, Jaya Kunja Bihari,
Jaya Gopijana Vallabha, Jaya Girivanarare,
Jaya Gopijana Vallabha, Jaya Girivanarare,
Jaya Yashoda Nandana Vrajajana Ranjana,
Shodanandana Vrajajana Ranjana,
Yamunatira Vanachari,
Tira Vanachari,
Yamunatira Vanachari,
Yamunatira Vanachari,
Jaya Radha Madhava, Jaya Kunda Vidhari,
Jaya Radha Madhava, Jaya Kunja Bihari,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare,
Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama,
Hare Krishna, Krishna
Prabhupada, Paramahamsa Parivrajakacharyas, Divine Grace, A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki, Ananta Koti Vaishnav Brinda ki, Prem Shri Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Brinda ki, Shri Ananta Koti Vaishnav Brinda ki, Jai Shri Radha Gopa Gopinath Shyama Kunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhana ki, Jai Shri Vrindavan Dham ki, Ganga Maya Muna Mai ki, Tulasi Devi Bhakti Devi ki, Jai Navadvip Mayapur Dham ki, Jagannath Puri Dham ki, Transcendental Book Distribution ki, Transcendental Prashadam Distribution ki, Brahat Madanga Kirtan ki, Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda ki, all glories to the assembled devotees, 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 all glories to Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Narayanam Namaskritya.
Narayanam Namaskritya.
Naram Chaiva Narottamam.
Naram Chaiva Narottamam.
Devim Saraswatim Vyasam.
Devim Saraswatim Vyasam.
Tato Jayamuriraye.
Tato Jayamuriraye.
Nasta Praeshu Apatreshu.
Nashtapraeshu Abhadreshu.
Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya.
Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya.
Bhagavati Utamashloke.
Bhagavati Uttamashloke.
Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki.
Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki.
We're reading today from Srimad Bhagavatam, from the 10th canto, from chapter 9, the binding, O Lord Krishna, text number 12. Vyaktvayastim sutam vitam.
Vyaktvayastim sutam vitam.
Tyaktva-yastim sutam bhitam.
Tyaktva-yastim sutam bhitam.
Vijnanaya bhakavatsara.
Vijnanaya bhakavatsara.
Yesha kilatam bharum.
Yesha kilatam badrum.
Dham natadviryako vida.
Dham natadviryako vida.
Tyaktva-yastim sutam bhitam.
Tyaktva-yastim sutam bhitam.
Vijnaya bhakavatsala.
Vijnaya bhakavatsala.
Yesha kilatam badhum.
Yesha kilatam badum.
Damna tatviryako vida.
Damna tatviryako vida.
Tyaktva-yastim sutam bhitam.
Tyaktva-yastim sutam bhitam.
Vijnaya bhakavatsala.
Vijnaya bhakavatsala.
Yesha kilatam badum.
Yesha kilatam badum.
Damna tatviryako vida.
Damna tatviryako vida.
Okay, please.
Tyaktayastim sutam bhitam.
Tyaktva-yastim sutam bhitam.
Vijnaya bhakavatsala.
Vijnaya bhakavatsala.
Yesha kirtam badum.
Yesha kilatam badum.
Damna tatviryako vida.
Damna tatviryako vida.
Tyaktva-yastim sutam bhitam.
Tyaktva-yastim sutam bhitam.
Vijnaya bhakavatsala.
Vijnaya bhakavatsala.
Yesha kilatam badum.
Yesha kilatam badum.
Damna Tatvirya Kovidam.
Namna Tadvirya Kovida.
Tyaktva,
Tattva
throwing away.
Throwing away.
I can scroll a bit here.
Yeah.
Vastim,
Yastim,
the stick in her hand.
the stick in the hand.
Sutam,
Sutam,
her son.
her son.
Pitam,
Pitam,
considering her son's great fear.
Considering her son's great fear.
Vijnana,
Vigyaya,
understanding.
Understanding.
Bhagavatsala,
Bhagavatsala,
the most affectionate mother of Krishna.
the most passionate mother of Krishna.
Tvesha,
Yesha,
desired.
desire.
Kila,
Kila,
indeed.
Indeed.
Tam,
Tam,
Krishna.
Krishna.
Bodhum,
Bodhum,
to bind.
to bind.
Damna,
Damna,
with a rope.
with a
With a
rope.
rope.
Atat viryako vida.
Atadvirya Kovida,
Without knowledge of the supremely powerful personality of Godhead,
without knowledge of the supremely powerful personality of Godhead,
because of intense love for Krishna.
because of intense love for Krishna.
Translation by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki.
Jai.
Please.
Oh yeah. Scroll a bit. Mother Yashoda was always overwhelmed by intense love for Krishna, not knowing who Krishna was or how powerful he was. Because of maternal affection for Krishna, she never even cared to know who he was. Therefore, when she saw that her son had become excessively afraid, she threw the stick away and desired to bind him so that he would not commit any further naughty activities. Purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Mother Yashoda wanted to bind Krishna not in order to chastise him, but because she thought that the child was so restless that he might leave the house in fear. That would be another disturbance. Therefore, because of full affection to stop Krishna from leaving the house, she wanted to bind him with rope. Mother Yashoda wanted to impress upon Krishna that since he was afraid merely to see her stick, he should not perform such disturbing activities as breaking the container of yogurt and butter and distributing its contents to the monkeys. Mother Yashoda did not care to understand who Krishna was and how his power spreads everywhere. This is an example of pure love for Krishna. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Shakshunam Meditam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Shtapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadhammayam Dadati Swapatantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Parakamalam Shri Gurum Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sahagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatham Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakam Vidamsha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostate Taptakanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpa Trupascha Kripa Sindhu Vya Evacha Patitanam Bhavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Welcome everyone to this wonderful Srimad Bhagavatam class. I hope I can be bound with this affection for Krishna and the devotees and the Vaishnavas. By the mercy of the Vaishnavas, we become qualified. Even though we might be insignificant, we might be not qualified at all to sit on the Vyasasan or to give lecture on such exalted topics like the Damodar Lila. We be empowered by the mercy of the Vaishnavas and the devotees like Srila Prabhupada, especially Srila Prabhupada, who wrote on this Lila extensively. And we not just find it in Krishna book, but we also find it in Nectar of Devotion. And I wanted to read something from Nectar of Devotion to get into that mood of what is happening, what is the mood of that whole pastime. We hear this is the parental affection of Mother Yashoda. And the parental affection in this Leela is very, very nicely inaugurated as a divine pastime, where Krishna is playing as a cowherd boy in Vrindavan. Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Krishna is tu Bhagavan Swayam. And all other entities are his subordinates. Jai Jai Shri Shri Nitai Shachi Shuta Jai Radha Parisisvara Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Maharani Ki Jivera Swarupa Hoy Krishnera Nityadas. All living entities are subordinate to Krishna as his servant, but still Krishna, he appears again and again to play with his devotees. And that is something that he likes to do. It is his pleasure pastimes to be bound up. And in Gokul, in the pastimes of Krishna and Yashoda and Nanda Maharaj, there are certain mellows that we call rasas. Rasa means a certain taste. It can mean a relationship. Prabhupada translates it in the Nectar of Devotion as a mellow, means a sort of feeling in that connection with Krishna. And Srila Prabhupada gave us not just the Srimad Bhagavatam, but also the Nectar of Devotion, which very nicely sets the mood, explaining of who is Mother Yashoda and what is her state of mind. What is Mother Yashoda thinking in that way in regard to Krishna? It says in chapter 43 of the Nectar of Devotion, in the chapter Parenthood, when ecstatic love develops into the relationship of parenthood and becomes steadily established, the relationship is called Vatsalya Rasa. The exhibition of this Vatsalya Rasa standard of devotional service can be found in the dealings of Krishna with his devotees, who represent themselves as superior personalities like father, mother, and teacher. Learned scholars have described the impetuses for parental love for Krishna existing in the elderly personalities who are in relationship with him as follows. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, whose bodily complexion is just like a bluish, new-grown lotus flower, whose body is very delicate, and whose lotus eyes are surrounded by scattered hair, as black as bees, was walking on the streets of Vrindavana. When Mother Yashoda, the beloved wife of Nanda Maharaj, saw him, immediately the milk began to flow from her breasts, soaking her body. Some specific provocations for parental love of Krishna are listed as his blackish bodily hue, which is very attractive and pleasing to see, his all auspicious bodily features, his mildness, his sweet words, his simplicity, his shyness, his humility, his constant readiness to offer respect to the elderly, and his charity. All of these qualities are considered ecstatic provocations for parental love. In Srimad Bhagavatam, 10th canto, 8th chapter, verse 45, it is stated by Shukadeva Goswami that Mother Yashoda accepted Lord Krishna as her son, although he is accepted in the Vedas as the king of heaven, in the Upanishads as the impersonal Brahman, in philosophy as the supreme male, by the yogis as the super soul, and by the devotees as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Once, Mother Yashoda addressed one of her friends in this way. Nanda Maharaja, the leader of the cowherd men, worship Lord Vishnu along with me, and as a result of this worship, Krishna has been saved from the clutches of Putana and other demons. The twin Arjuna trees were of course broken due to a strong wind, and although Krishna appeared to have lifted Govardhana hill along with Balaram, I think that Nanda Maharaj actually held the mountain. Otherwise, how could it have been possible for a little boy to lift such a great hill? This is another example of ecstasy in parental love. This kind of parental love is generated in a devotee out of his conviction in love that he himself is superior to Krishna, and that without being taken care of by such a devotee, Krishna could not possibly live. One devotee therefore prayed to the parents of Lord Krishna as follows: "Let me take shelter of the elderly parental devotees of Lord Krishna. They are always anxious to serve Krishna and to maintain him, and they are always so kind to him. Let us offer our respectful obeisances unto them for being so kind to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is the parent of the whole universe." So now we hear from Srila Prabhupada referring to the tattva of this mellow, of this rasa. Before we get into a pastime like that, we have to understand the truth, the theology behind such a ecstatic feeling, being soaked up, wet from milk because of parental love and affection. This is quite ecstatic, but how can we understand this without the right theology behind it? We need philosophy to ground the field and to prepare the field for planting the mellows of devotional service. Thus we hear from Srila Prabhupada in the Nectar of Devotion, which was given very early into the movement. And Srila Prabhupada himself, as an example, he was fully engrossed in that mellow of parental affairs, of parental love. It was Shrutakirti Prabhu. Shrutakirti Prabhu is still living in Vrindavan, and he's giving lectures also on the pastimes of Srila Prabhupada. Whenever you have association with him, just try to inquire about Srila Prabhupada and his mood of parental love to the devotees, but also to Krishna. And we will hear from Shrutakirti, who gave a lecture in Vrindavan telling us about his time with Srila Prabhupada. Shrutakirti was saying that he was one of the servants, if not that servant, who has spent the most time with Srila Prabhupada, massaging him every evening for many, many years. He would be with Prabhupada in a very private mood, a very private setting, massaging the fingers and massaging the knuckles and head of Srila Prabhupada. And he had so much personal affairs with Srila Prabhupada that Srila Prabhupada often revealed his heart. He often spoke of his childhood. And Srila Prabhupada, he sometimes was in that very sweet mellow, and that very sweet mood. And Shrutakirti tells that Srila Prabhupada would say that this cowherd boy, I love this cowherd boy. I don't care if he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but I just love him. For Srila Prabhupada would also say that I am proud to be a servant of Krishna. Srila Prabhupada would express his feelings towards Krishna in such a personal way. For him, the mellow was very, very real. It was something he lived on a daily basis. And Shrutakirti, he emphasized this, that Prabhupada was engrossed in that rasa. He was always very much connected to Krishna. He saw him as a friend. He saw him as a beloved child. Srila Prabhupada was the example of that mellow that we try to understand and that we try to imbibe in our spiritual lives. When we are on the altar, for example, then it is about that mellow of serving Krishna nicely, dressing him like a child, bringing food to him like he wouldn't be able to eat. Like we have to serve him. And Krishna, he reciprocates in that way. So we are being trained, and we are also training ourselves through Srila Prabhupada's books how to imbibe this mellow of devotional love. And it is a process. It is not something that we can click on from here to then to now and it will suddenly happen. No, it has to be developed, it has to be cultivated, but it is within the heart. And everyone has their own unique mellow of connection, of rasa to Krishna. It is explained also in the introduction of the Nectar of Devotion. Srila Prabhupada explains that everyone has a certain mellow. It is the rasa that drives us. Like a family man, he goes out to work. He is taking care of the business. He is taking care of his children. What is driving him to go to work is the mellow, the affection, the rasa for his family. Prabhupada gives a mundane example so that we can understand why are we so attracted to Krishna. It is that rasa. It is that mellow, that transcendental relationship that we try to develop again and again. And it is just like in the morning we're preparing milk for Krishna. And sometimes, it is funny. Just today in the morning, busy picking flowers for Krishna and, you know, looking like which flower is nice we could offer to Krishna, and the milk was already boiling. And of course, what would happen today? Yes, of course, like a volcano, it over-flooded the whole kitchen. This is the mellow also that we experience. And Shrutakirti, he would say that it is to transform this lust into love, because sometimes we wander with our mind. We'll be going to different places. We're not thinking about Krishna. Maybe when I was just picking that flower, maybe I was thinking about, who can I offer this flower to? Maybe my beloved. Maybe who do I like in the temple the most? And it's like that. And these thoughts are coming up, and they are covering the pure love. And it is just like Prabhupada explains in Bhagavad Gita, that the pure love is like milk. And when Mother Yashoda is churning that pure milk into butter, that churning process is really what we are trying to establish in our process. Mother Yashoda does it like that. She is very much engaged in that service always. But we in our devotional lives, we try to churn that lust into love. We're trying to transform those desires, those hankerings, tada rajas tamo bhava, all these desires from Rajagun and from Tamagun, and all these very much the hankerings that we have in our material life. We try to transfer it. Chitair anavidam stitam sattve prashityati. We try to come to the platform of sattvagun, evam prashana manaso, bhagavad bhakti yoga. Through the process of serving Krishna nicely, we establish our mind on the platform of mukta sanghasya jayate, on the platform of liberation. And this is where we want to be. We want to see everything connected to Vasudeva. Vasudeva paravida, Vasudeva paramaka, Vasudeva paratapa, Vasudeva paragyana, Vasudeva, he's everything. Paragati, he's the supreme goal. And we try to see Krishna as the son of Vasudeva, not in the mellow necessarily of Lakshmi Narayan, but still we imbibe that feeling of Krishna as Lakshmi Narayan as we worship him. So how do we get there? It's a process. We are a conditioned soul. We are trying to serve Krishna nicely, but at the same time being a conditioned soul with lackluster senses and the mind, manahasha stanindriyani, prakriti stani karshati, still engaged in that material affair, we are subject to lust and greed and envy and all these enemies that we face in our devotional life. And by churning this practice, this sadhana bhakti, we become slowly but surely purified. And as soon as we are established in sadhana bhakti, we can go to a more spontaneous mood of service, which is shown here, the viragatmikas, the raganuga bhakti that is exhibited in Vrindavan. That is what we aspire for. This is what we're trying to achieve. This is the mood, the mellow that we're trying to imbibe every day in the temple room. It's like, who's stealing all the burfis in the morning? I don't know. It's like, you come back from Mangalartik and it's like half the burfis are gone. It's like, where are the plates are empty? Oh, there must have been Krishna Balaram. Yes. Oh, and they like the streets. I don't know. There were some monkeys from Mangalartik. They're coming to be fed by Krishna. I don't know. But that is the mellow that we try to understand what is going on in the background when we are doing our little service, whatever it is. If we're cleaning the temple, so many things can happen. Like, you never know who's coming into the temple. He might be the most exalted devotee. You never know who's guest in our home. And he might be already on that transcendental Raganuga platform. And sometimes you experience it with guests, especially, that they are super spontaneous because they come as guests and they have just a mellow of, now I want to see Krishna. And so I go to the temple. Oh, I have like 5 minutes from my flight. It's okay, I go to the temple. And they are super spontaneous. And the guests, as soon as you turn around, they're gone. Where is he? He was just here. He just took some Janamrit. And now I wanted to get the book for him, but he suddenly disappeared. And then, he's taking prasadam. Now he's at the prasadam table. Okay, let me serve him some prasadam. This spontaneous love, it can be trained every single day. In that mood, we are trying to establish ourselves in sadhana bhakti as a conditioned soul, and then we are trying to that supreme goal, that is Krishna bhakti, prema bhakti, that is exhibited in in the mellow of dasya. And the mellow of dasya because it is the most safe for us if we face the danger, because there's a big danger in that also. When we are going from the sadhana platform to that raganuga platform, this big danger is a huge hurdle that many have to face. And Prabhupada was always warning us, was saying, please be careful. Don't go into this impersonalist, voidist, or even this imitation feeling. And we might have to distinguish between imitation and walking in the footsteps and executing the order of the spiritual master. For example, Srila Prabhupada ordered us to do dramas, or to do theater, or to read Krishna book. And there's another pastime, Shruta Kirti Prabhu, telling us that Prabhupada, he loved Krishna book. He not just compiled it, wrote it, and then published it like that. No, he loved it. Krishna Prabhupada, when Shruta Kirti was joining in 72, he was reading Krishna book to Srila Prabhupada. And Srila Prabhupada was hearing with the disciples about Krishna's pastimes. Prabhupada was laughing. He was like slapping his legs and he was like roaring because he loved Krishna so much, and he really loved that also to hear about Krishna. And that is what we have to imbibe. We have to love to hear about Krishna, to develop a personal relationship, not to be imitating, but to be reading constantly about Krishna, to be hearing constantly about Krishna, and to develop that personal relationship with Krishna in order to establish our personal swarup, our personal mood of dasya, of being a servant to Krishna. And this is also what distinguishes the ISKCON movement from other so-called spiritual movements. ISKCON is a very wonderful movement because it is very strict on that mood of service. Prabhupada wanted us to be servants, not to be sentimentalists or imitators. Prabhupada wanted us to be servants of Krishna, and thus we are being trained as servants. And that is something, coming from a background of yoga teaching, I've seen it all. The impersonalist Kundalini dancing madness, where people go into certain states of sentimental feelings, and after some time they return back from their lives. I've seen people, they were in a yoga pose and then they fell flat on the ground because they were unconscious. They were not connected to the source. You see people who are who are dressing up in certain ways. There's so much nonsense happening in the world, but ISKCON and Srila Prabhupada's instruction is very clear that we should remain as a humble servant of the Lord. And there are so many gurus out there who propagate themselves as whatever, the Bhagavan, or there might be incarnation or an avatar or Paramahamsa or whatever, but really it is the mood of a servant. And Prabhupada, he was the perfect example of such a personality who gave us this mood of service, and who imbibed the mood of service, and who never would identify himself greater than a servant. He was simple, and in that way we follow in the footsteps of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Bhakti Thakur, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati, they were cutting down these impersonalists and these imitators. They were persecuting them. Bhakti Thakur was very strong on these kind of sahajiyas and these mayavadis, and Prabhupada also tried to imbibe that mood. And I'm not such a sweet talker in those matters, but I would suggest and recommend and encourage everyone to cut down these tendencies in all respect to the devotees, but it is just to follow Srila Prabhupada in a sincere mood. Vidyante hridaya gantis kshiyante sarvak samsaya chiyante karma sarva karma bihi drishta eka atma ishvare. That's the Srimad Bhagavatam. It says that we have to cut down the knots in the heart that have these impersonal tendencies, and we have to cut down the chain of fruit of reactions. We don't want that. We want pure bhakti as a nectar of devotion. Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. Anyabilasita shunyam jnana karmadi anavritam anukul yena krishna anushilanam bhakti uttama. Uttama bhakti is free of any monistic philosophy, speculating, Krishna, he's a he's a human, or Krishna, he is a boy, like he's a normal, ordinary, living entity, or whatever. Right? This is speculation. From the Shastra we understand Krishna's too, Bhagavan Swayam. And there should be no karma, fruit of activities without rendering service. There's of course karma yoga. We can engage in karma yoga, like painting the walls, like you did very nicely, doing so many things as a temple commander, managing all the schedules and having everything clean and nice in the temple. That is of course transcendental service. That is not karma. Karma means fruit of activities that we act for certain gain in our mentality, or fruit of hankering. Real sannyas means to be free of all these fruit of activities, and which is also interesting. Krishna says in the 11th canto what cleanliness means. He gives a definition of cleanliness. We were doing a maha cleanup of the kitchen. Please come to the temple, see the nice clean and nicely painted walls. Everyone joined the Radha Parisisvara Mandir, where it's very nice and clean. What does cleanliness mean? Krishna would say in Srimad Bhagavatam, 11th canto, that cleanliness means to be completely devoid of all fruit of mentality and hankerings. So that is what we want. We want Uttama Bhakti. And we want Savo Pari Vinyamuktam, Tatparatvina Nirmalam, Rishikena, Rishikesha, Sevana, Bhakti Uchate. We want this Bhakti Seva. We want to serve Krishna. Because we understand Krishna is not any ordinary person. Krishna is not just, of course he's a cowherd boy, but he is the supreme cowherd boy. He is the supreme personality of Godhead. And we want to serve him in a very, very nice and sweet manner. And we want to get rid of those designations. I am Hindu, I am Christian, I am Muslim, I am German, I'm Russian, I'm Indian, I'm French, I'm so on and so forth. We want to get rid of all these upadhis. Vinirmuktam, we want to free ourselves from those to establish this purification process. And the purification starts with the senses. And the first sense is, of course, which sense do we have to purify first? We have to start somewhere. Which sense? Like we have 5 senses, the ears and the nose and the eyes. Which sense do we have to purify first? It starts with the
tongue.
Yeah, it starts with the tongue. What's that verse? Atashi Krishna Namani Nabavekraya India Seva Mukhe He Jiva Po Swayame Vaspradadaha. Jiva, we have to purify through the senses, but mainly through the tongue, meaning talking Krishna Katha and chanting Hare Krishna. That is our main process of Bhakti Yoga. So please everybody join in chanting Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Yeah, please let us churn. Like Mother Yashoda was churning the milk, please let us churn some nectar. Maybe some comments, some doubts, whatever you have, let us share something nice. You have anything that you like to give? You like to share something? What's your name, by the way?
Ishvara Krishna Das.
Ishvara Krishna.
Das.
Oh, that's a wonderful name. Who's your guru there?
Bhakti Yoga Goswami.
Bhakti Yoga
Russian.
Yeah, I know Bhakti Yoga Goswami Maharaj. Ishvara Krishna Das is serving at the moment here in the temple, painting, making renovation works real, and it is very, very nice. Thank you for your service, Ishvara Krishna.
Yes, but it's not me.
Yeah, I know, it's never finished. What to do? You have anything you like to add or comment?
Maybe it's imagined here, but you told that Srila Prabhupada has parental connection with Krishna, yeah?
Well, we could definitely say that this is what he has been. This is his life and soul. We could say that. There are 2 examples of really, there's really pregnant examples of Srila Prabhupada giving us a mellow, a rasa of him being connected to Krishna. And one instance is where he writes on the Jaladuta. When he's writing in the Jaladuta diary, you see it on the paper, he is addressing Krishna as, "Oh brother," or is it, "Oh brothers, dear Krishna?" He's addressing Krishna directly in his poetry. When Srila Prabhupada is writing Makina Bhagavata Dharma, he's addressing Krishna directly. And that is something that we see already. He's on a friendship stage. Like he's asking Krishna as a friend, please help me. And he's also, in a different example, he's also, you see, when there were deity installations, when there were deities being installed in the temple, Prabhupada would show his affection towards Krishna as a father. There's an example of the Amsterdam Mass, where it's described in Srila Bhakti Gauravani Swami's book, Germans, Srila Prabhupada's disciples in Germany. In the book it's described how Srila Prabhupada, he was installing Jagannath, Baladev, Subhadra, and he was caring for them in such a way that everybody was very astonished, like, wow, he's taking so much care of the deities. But what would a father do when he sees that his children are not being cared for nicely? The father, of course, he would protect the children. So what did Prabhupada do? Prabhupada, he got so angry. Prabhupada got full on screaming at the devotees, like, what are you doing? This has to be done properly for Jagannath, Baladev, Subhadra, Maharani. So Prabhupada, there was a camera team, and there were devotees, they were doing all sorts of chaos. It was a chaos because they were not trained and they had no idea how to treat the deities. It was the first installation in hippie Mecca. They were all stoned to their heads. I don't know what they thought. And then Prabhupada, he was really making proper chastisement. He had to chastise the devotees to take care of his beloved child Krishna. These are two examples of Srila Prabhupada in his writings addressing Krishna personally as a friend, also in a little bit in that mood of a son, of a beloved child, also not so much in his writings, but in his affection for the deities. Absolutely, he would express this oftentimes when the deities would be installed. There are very much instances where he would kidnap a child, or he would his child Krishna, he would bring him back to the temple. This is the story of Radha and Ishvara. Or he would, in other places in Vrindavan, he would very much take care of the first worship, and that everything is nicely organized, and then not the Brahmins are chanting, but the devotees are chanting. And Prabhupada showed very much reverence and affection to his beloved child as seen in the deities. I think those are two examples. Does that make sense to you? Is that something that you can remember or understand? Yeah.
It's interesting. I thought maybe official version is which it's your opinion, yeah.
Well, the writings are pretty clear. Like in the writings, we understand that Prabhupada had a very friendship relationship with Krishna. That is from the writings. But that is something that we can only speculate about, and we wouldn't want to speculate too much about it. There's lots of speculation already going on, like who's Prabhupada in the spiritual world? What is Prabhupada's position? Is Prabhupada a cowherd boy playing with Krishna on the fields? Is he, this and that? These are sort of speculations that we won't get too much into, as it might be dangerous for the Bhakti Lata that we try to cultivate, because blasphemy can be very subtle. We don't want to blaspheme any devotee, putting him lower. Like if we say that, oh yes, Srila Prabhupada, he of course he was a cowherd boy in Vrindavan, but actually he's situated way beyond that. Do we know? So that is something that we have to be very careful with. And Prabhupada, he definitely, and that is the point that he was always making, is that he showed himself as a servant of God. When he was ranting, when he was chastising other gurus, when he was chastising the Mayavadis, the Sahajiyas, he would say the example of how it should be. Srila Prabhupada said a real guru, a real spiritual teacher would only identify himself as a servant. And that is in line with Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who was saying, Kintu Probhyam, Dikila Paramananda Purnamridati Gopi Bhartu Parakamalayo Dasa Dasa Anudasa. So that is Prabhupada giving us, and we follow that. We follow that. We follow that mood of a servant.
Good lecture.
Hare Krishna.
I thought that you are reading.
No, it's like some of it.
Yeah, I had a question.
Sure.
When you shared your story about the milk being a volcano this morning, you explained how, while picking up flowers, you had some, you may have some thought about this, about that, and material thoughts may definitely cover our consciousness, covers the purity of it. And so I was wondering how can we differentiate, how can we understand what is happening around us as being spiritual, as being a service for Krishna, or as being a material thought.
Yeah.
You know, because definitely this flower picking, you can be disturbed by a material thought, but you can also be, transcendentally disturbed by Krishna's arrangement. So how do you identify?
Interesting. Yes.
I just put it.
Interesting question is how do we distinguish between a spiritual thought, for example, picking a flower for Krishna and taking the flower to Krishna and offering it to Krishna. How can we maintain such a spiritual thought is also important. How do distractions come? How do these impediments of material hankerings and thoughts, how do they arise at all? And that, that could go back to the very original questions of who we are and how do we fall from the spiritual world. This is like a very, tracing it back, how even these materialistic or egocentric thoughts, how did they even come in general? And that is something the acharyas, they also give different connotations, different perspectives on this kind of question, which I'm not a bhakti theologian yet in that regard so much, but what I can repeat from what I've heard is that originally there is a pure intention to serve Krishna. This is the nature, of course, and this is the essence of all our actions. This is the essence of all our lives. That we just want that service to be directed towards Krishna. But in due course of time, that service, that direct service to Krishna might have been diverted to a different object of love. And that is what we have to redirect ourselves. We have to redirect this pure intention of just serving Krishna's lotus feet, or just serving the Guru, and by serving the spiritual master, by serving the Vaishnavas, by serving the lotus feet, by serving the dust of the Vaishnavas, we might be eligible to have a little bit of that mellow and taste of the pure love. And there we are in this struggle. I think it is very much concerning every one of us that we always struggle with the senses and the mind and the thoughts, especially the mind is going wild. But it's nothing unusual, we could say, that even Arjuna, who is so close to Krishna, he's the friend of Krishna, he's so dear to Krishna, even Arjuna is struggling with the mind. And that is something pretty baffling, something that we have to wrap our head around. How wonderful that we are good as a conditioned soul. We are struggling, okay, but it might be part of the play. And how can we distinguish between that Maya entity that giving us chastisement, because that boiling over the milk, it might have been that energy, that material energy of Krishna showing us that now it's time to concentrate again, now it's time to clean up, now it's time to focus on puja, on offering it to Krishna. Now it's not time to pick nice flowers. There's also this this energy of Krishna which appears to be material, but it's actually the energy of Krishna as well. I've heard it somewhere, I don't know where I heard it, but I heard it in a lecture that Maya is actually the very, very dear Vaishnavi, if not the most dear Vaishnavi of Krishna. Is that right? Does somebody hear that as well? Because she has the most thankless task.
confusion, so that we realize also our being powerless.
Yeah. Yes.
And we take more and more shelter by realizing that my nature is
Yes.
cannot overcome it without
Yes.
Krishna.
Yes. So we have to see it as our will to be chastised by Krishna in so many different ways to finally see a little bit of that light of pure devotional service. And these are glimpses that we get, and sometimes we get a taste of that service. Personally, that churning process of the milk is like we have to boil down our own thoughts to become purely minded and purely thinking about Krishna like that. And for me personally, what helps me is writing and also reading. Reading and writing is always boiling down all the thoughts that might be speculating, that might be going in so many directions. It's being directed, focused again. Especially writing with a pen is very conducive to focusing our thoughts, to bringing down all this matter that we have to churn somewhere. Somehow we have to churn it and we have to boil it down. In the process of writing, we can nicely cook down all the thoughts to a focused mind. And that focused mind will definitely help us to stay connected to the real man mana bhava mat bhakto, to these loving thoughts, to always think about Krishna in some way or other. Even when the milk spoiled over, like the split second, it was like, this is like perfect pastime here. There we go. Mother Yashoda is boiling over the milk. She has to take Krishna up, and Krishna he's crying while the milk is boiling over. And then sometimes you hear things also from the altar. The altar was still closed, but then you hear things, and sometimes it's like Revati Nandaprabhu was saying, "Shh, don't play so much loud music, because Krishna is still resting. So be very quiet." And then sometimes we would hear Krishna like either snoring, or sometimes he would be also demanding, "Where's my milk?" Things like that. And at that moment I realized like, oh no, now I've messed it up, and I have to really bring that milk to Krishna nicely. I have to offer it with extra love so that he might accept it. That was a good thing, and by the mercy of Radha Krishna, we have like real milk at the moment. Krishna is so happy with that. This is like real Krishna's protected cow milk, Krishna's protected cow milk, and it's really making a difference also in boiling up the milk and having it served to Krishna. There's a feeling that is more sweet. I find it's more sweetness in the offering, because we understand that the cows, they are in New Mayapur, there are cows there, and in New Mayapur the cows, they like to give milk for Krishna, and the milk for Krishna has been stolen by Rasa Prabhu, who brought it here to Radha Parisisvara.
No, I didn't stolen. They gave it to me.
Oh, they gave it to you. Yeah, so that is very nice. Thank you for accepting that nice that prasadam also that is offered to the deities. Please also try some in the morning with milk for breakfast. You would taste the difference. Like, it's really special. It's really special taste. Yeah. Could I touch a bit on that topic, on that having a mindset that is according to Krishna and that is free from Maya in that sense. What might also help is chanting. I guess that's kind of the all-in-all solution to our mind reeling, is that we keep chanting. Like wherever we are, if we are in the kitchen boiling milk, or if we clean in the temple, or if we're doing our work at home, accounting, or the finances, keeping ourselves busy with the kirtan, that the kirtan is always going, either in the background is somebody chanting, or we chant ourselves by typing in the numbers, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. And I think the kirtan that is protecting us from all the tendencies to deviate and to divert, and to keep focus on that lotus feet of the Vaishnavas and Srila Prabhupada. Yeah, I think the kirtan is our rescue in that regard. Yeah. You sometimes do when you do homework at home, when you do accounting, you play kirtan or something like that?
I don't play kirtan myself, but yeah, I definitely put some kirtans and try to, most of the time, when I don't have a video conference or something.
Yeah. What do you listen to? What kind of kirtan? What kind of kirtan do you listen to?
It depends, but these days it's more Indra Prabhu.
Oh, I remember.
Madhava Prabhu also.
Oh, that's very elevated.
And Sachinanda Maharaj.
Okay, wonderful. Yeah,
Mostly Radha Deshmelo's kirtan.
Oh, sweet. Yeah. Nice. They have good recordings, huh? They have like good recordings.
Quality recordings.
Qualities like first class. Yeah. Paris Mellows. Rasa Prabhu. Like to start the Paris Mellows. We get the Prabhus from Rajateshwar and we set up a nice sound system and recordings and have Radha Parisisvara album. And we can hear the kirtan.
We need a bigger space.
But it's actually nice. Like this is really like a bhajan kutir.
But only for few bhajanandis.
Yeah.
Our principle is the more the merrier. More devotees happy. We are waiting for a bigger space.
We pray to Ishvara Krishna. Maybe Ishvara Krishna can help us. Or by painting the space, you can expand it also.
Yeah, if it will be more space, I promise I will bring.
Very good. That's it. Just by painting it, you paint the consciousness in more space. Do you have any questions about Damodar Leela? You like to join in the party? Yeah.
Damodar Leela is great.
Damodar Leela is good. How was the puja in the morning? Did you think about Krishna being bound up? Vasumati being bound to the chair?
You can survive it till tomorrow. And no offenses were manifested. Consider it.
That's most important. After puja or like a service like that, we have to ask for forgiveness. Please forgive me for my offenses that I might have committed knowingly or unknowingly, and please nullify all of those sinful reactions that might have been omitted. In that sense, please also forgive me if I have said something unpalatable or something not according to Shastra, Guru and Sadhu. Please forgive this fallen and lonely servant of the Lord, that we might continue our service nicely. There's already the next service waiting. You know what that service is?
We're painting the corridor.
Okay.
That's very nice one.
Okay, there we go. Srila Prabhupada ki. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki. Prasadam Seva ki. Haribo. Vajananda Yashoda Dula. Girivanadari Gopal. Vajananda Yashoda Dula. Girivanadari Gopal. Gopal.